With the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and the year 2020 as a whole, it has us asking, what has changed? More importantly, who has changed? As a teenager myself, living in this unpredictable world, things were certainly unclear. While at home, I found myself developing new habits, some healthy, some not. My mental health got worse before it got better. But I know for others this may have not been the case. My screen time increased dramatically as we became more reliant on technology for communication. It has had a great impact on our lives, more than we will ever know. However, could it be that the two are connected? More importantly, are our phones affecting our mental health? Today we sat down with 9 different teenagers to discuss the impact of technology on their lives in this new world we're living in.
What's your name?
Brianna Nalta.
Marcelo Truman-Lucky.
My name is Mackenzie Tester, but I go by Kenzie.
Marissa Basti.
Andrew Colucci.
Elena Pizzo. Victoria Gonzalez.
Owen Adams.
Sophia Lamana.
And how old are you?
I'm 16.
I'm 15 years old.
60.
I'm
16.
Did you find that your mental health got better or worse during the time of quarantine?
It was kind of like ups and downs. It went with how bad COVID was and like how much we had to stay inside.
Like a lot more downwards, but right now I think it's a lot higher than it was at the beginning.
I found that my mental health got worse in some ways, but it also got better in like other ways. I had more time for myself, which was good, but it also had like its cons.
It totally got worse. The longer we were in it, the faster it like just deteriorated.
Definitely worse. The biggest thing was definitely not being able to see friends. I never realized how much like seeing friends like helped.
Honestly, it got worse. I was in South America. That was tough, and I wasn't able to see like some family and some friends that even lived like hours away.
This all hit us really hard. I think the beginning of quarantine, we all thought it was like a break from school.
Definitely worse. It was about 3 months into our relationship, and that was really hard to not be able to see her, and just the uncertainty of everything was pretty difficult for me.
It brought me to a low point, but it definitely wasn't like my lowest point. And losing that routine for me just made everything else like fall into place.
It's kind of the dreaded question, so I need to get your phone.
Oh man.
So what is your current phone screen time? Oh, mine's not a lot.
Do not do this to me.
Daily average for last week was 7 hours. Read out that number.
My average screen time is 8 hours and 16 minutes.
Okay, in my defense, I logged onto my online classes on my phone. Okay, so 11 hours and 33 minutes.
My daily average is 7 hours, 7 minutes.
Last week was 10 hours and 10 minutes.
7 hours and 34 minutes.
9 hours, 4 minutes.
5 hours and 35 minutes of total screen time.
So what do you think of that number? Do you think that's high or low?
Pretty high recently.
I think it's too high. It shouldn't be that high. I just like go on my phone instead of doing things that are actually important. Like instead of doing my homework, I'll just sit on TikTok.
Oh, it's so low. No, it's high.
It's lower than it used to be, but it's still pretty high.
High, very high.
Back in like grade 9, it was like 5 hours. It's hard to find things to do outside of that, so that's why it's so high.
It's definitely above average, I think.
No way.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
That's average.
Is it? That's messed up. I didn't realize it went up that much. Because a month ago I was at like 6 hours, but then I guess I got bored a lot.
Which social media app do you use the most on your phone then?
TikTok. It's kind of like a time passer, and like before you know it, you've been on it for like 3 hours.
Snapchat. Very close to Instagram. It's like 3 minutes apart.
I like TikTok because it's like, I have a short attention span, so it's like easy to just like watch. And I also like it because I find there's like a lot of like relatable content on there.
TikTok, actually, that was 21 hours.
So how does it feel to know that you spent almost a full day on TikTok?
Oh, that's really upsetting. I have a social life, don't worry.
Snapchat's number 1, TikTok's number 2. I do have a daily limit on TikTok, but I do press like override.
Instagram, because there's so many funny videos. It's just like entertaining to be on. And Snapchat, because it's like communication with my friends.
Definitely my highest screen time is Snapchat and then TikTok.
Oh, I know, it's Instagram. I could spend a lot of time on that.
Oh, 16 hours of TikTok.
So do you find that your time on your phone or even on social media affects your mood?
Oh, definitely. I think that like when I don't have my phone, I'm a little bit more like lively and I want to spend more time with people.
I feel like most of the time it negatively impacts it, but sometimes it allows me to like see other people's work and get more inspiration off.
Although like on my phone there's a lot of positive things, like there's like positive quotes I see or funny videos I see, there's also things that tend to be more negative. So if I see something sad, like I feel it right away and I like really take on other people's emotions.
Okay, when I'm like FaceTiming or like having a conversation with somebody, then I'm pretty happy. But if I'm just like scrolling through like TikTok or looking at somebody's Snap story, then I have like really bad FOMO.
Definitely. I feel like lazy if I'm on my phone for a long time. And then if I feel lazy, it just kind of turns into like this big spiral.
People aren't the nicest on social media, and I try to ignore those people, but sometimes they can bring down my mood.
Something I try to do is like, if I notice that's affecting my mood, especially on social media, like many hard topics are being shared, I just like try to like turn my mind off and forget about it for a minute.
I feel lazy all the time.
And do you think that your phone attributes to that?
Definitely.
Yeah, when I go like up camping, I try to keep off my phone as much as possible and into nature, but being outside and being disconnected from your phone completely changes your mental health.
Do you believe that in general or in your personal experience that social media causes you to compare yourself to others?
Oh, definitely. Since I use TikTok so much, it's more like on there because it's more people that I don't know. Like on Instagram and on Snapchat, I know these people, like they're my friends. It's not really a big comparing there, but on TikTok it's a little bit more because I see these beautiful girls, you know, it's easy to compare to them.
Being on Instagram mostly, you just see a lot of unrealistic things. I try to like stay away from that, but obviously I haven't.
Scrolling through the feed, I compare myself to every single person. It's very like damaging because when I see somebody else pretty, I find it takes away from like my confidence. But like the thing is, like someone's beauty doesn't take away from your own. Even on TikTok, like I'll make a TikTok and then I see someone else make the same one and I'm like, why can't I look like that? Why can't I dance like that? It's talked about a lot, like how girls compare themselves to other girls, but I think boys also do it as well. I think like mental health for boys isn't really talked about enough, but I find like we all are the same, we all compare ourselves and we all have our insecurities.
All the time, even if it's like for the better, you're still looking at people and you're like, oh, why am I not like that? Or why am I doing the opposite of that?
I remember like one of my teachers who would always say that like our phones are an addiction in grade 9, and I was always like, what are you saying? Definitely realized that it definitely is an addiction. It's like it's hard to find the line between like using it to like catch up with friends and then just being addicted.
Oh yeah, those TikTok girls and like those Instagram models, it's kind of tough. Sometimes when I see like those Instagram girls with like those really perfect like bikini bodies, I'm just like, it's okay.
I feel like sometimes social media could be a little negative.
Definitely not amazing to see, but it is what it is.
Yeah, 100%. Whether that's like body or look at my parents, how great they are to me, like, oh, that's not exactly my life, but it's easy to compare.
So it is said that young people who spend 7 or more hours a day on screens are more than twice as likely to be diagnosed with depression or anxiety. Does this shock you?
I'm not surprised at all. Honestly, like it's kind of like in our generation it's like a joke and it shouldn't be. It's kind of like a trend, but I'm not surprised at all because I know a lot of kids our age go through the same thing and it's really hard sometimes. So they use social media and putting it out there as a way to cope and like joke about it.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. The root of a lot of anxiety and depression is a lot of unrealistic standards from other people.
It's a little crazy like to hear, because I know I spend 7+ hours on my phone. Your phone does cause a lot of stress and a lot of sadness, so it does make sense.
Oh, that's, yeah, I can see that. It takes a toll on you. Everything about social media is not 100% true, which then again, you start comparing it to yourself. And like even personal experience, my like mental health or like anxiety, depression went down like when I started getting on my phone more. So like I totally see that.
That's definitely fun knowing that my screen time is 7 hours and 30 minutes. But yeah, it definitely makes sense.
I can totally believe that because I actually do have anxiety. Kind of developed more over the quarantine because I've always been worried about the virus, especially since I was in South America. Worried about my mom mainly.
I think that makes total sense. I've even noticed myself, like me going on my phone so often, I feel like it definitely can affect me. And something I've been trying to work on is like putting my phone away and like doing something for me, like just like unplugging for, I don't know, like an hour.
I believe that I feel like in a lot of cases, people with mental illness are really sleep deprived, and when you're sleep deprived, you need something to do, and in this time, what are you gonna do?
The more time you're bored and resort to your phone, the more you become stressed. You could be anxious over fitting in because you see one of your friends hanging out with someone else and you're like, oh, why wasn't I invited? That's one aspect, or it could just be a completely random person. It's a hard thing to admit to yourself that you actually have a problem, right? Like, you might just say, this is normal, this is being a teenager, or this is just, quarantine or whatever it is.
So that being said, in your personal experience, it's kind of the theme of the whole kind of episode here. Have you ever responded with, I'm good or I'm fine, when you weren't?
It kind of depends who it is. Sometimes it's kind of hard to go deep into my emotions, and I don't want to bother anyone with it. It's because sometimes it can get so heavy, and especially when I talk about it to other people, it just goes deeper and deeper, I want to I like to forget about it, but not completely that I'm ignoring the problem.
100%. Most of the time, if I'm not close with the person, I'm not gonna open up and spill all my thoughts and feelings out to them.
All the time. Well, because I just don't really like to share how I feel and how I'm doing, unless it's someone I'm super, super close to, and there's just so much to explain and I can't even put it into words. I'm like, sit down and call me. We need to talk and communicate.
It's so much effort to actually get into it. And even though your friend's asking you and they clearly care, I don't want to burden them.
Said that to everyone. You don't really want to get into depth with things, and you also don't want people to think that you're not normal, whatever normal means, right?
Even sometimes when I'm not feeling the best, I still give those little motivational speeches or try to cheer other friends up. I care more about others than I do about myself. I rather help others and try to make them feel better, even if I don't feel good myself.
I feel like that's something we all do, is if we're feeling down, we can just kind of brush people off by just saying, oh, I'm fine. It's so much more difficult to read the way a person's feeling over text, and I feel like sometimes things can get misinterpreted, but that's when it just comes down to really checking in with that person and seeing how they're feeling.
I do that more often than when I say I'm not fine. I don't really want to be a burden. I like to be a helper more than be helped. It's hard to use tone in text for sure. You can think something totally different than what it's actually meant to be interpreted as.
Yeah, if someone asks me a text, it's just kind of hard to actually no, I'm not feeling good, and it's just hard to communicate.
And this is kind of a more positive question because I want to end it on a good note.
Right, okay.
What's something that brings you joy or just makes you happy and improves your mental health?
I like to play the cello. It's nice to show my emotions or express myself in a different way other than talking.
2 things. 1, being with all the people that I love and that I care about and that I'm close to. Second was soccer, but I'm not really in that right now because I'm injured, but that's kind of my happy place.
I'm really heavily influenced by music. Other than that, just expressing myself creatively. I take a lot of pictures. I don't that. I take a lot of pictures. I just like to spend my time stepping out of my comfort zone in that aspect.
Sing. I'm in a choir currently. Even though we can't really meet up in person right now, we're doing Zoom rehearsals, and it's a really nice way to still connect with people.
I don't know, there's a lot of things. I don't know, my girlfriend Allie makes me really happy. My friends make me really happy.
I'm gonna use the same answer and say working out, but hanging out with friends too and seeing family is good. It actually releases endorphins, so you're physically happy. It's a chemical reaction that makes you happy.
One thing that always makes me happy is music. Whenever I'm stressed, I go play piano.
Literally just running. That's so but sometimes it feels so good to be it's dark, it's quiet, it's just you. It's nice.
I find my dog brings me a lot of joy. My dog, if I give him a kiss and a belly rub, that's what makes him happy.
You are not alone.
You are not alone.